Beer brewing in Mexico has very strong roots, and Mexicans love their beer. So much so, they are the sixth largest consumer country in the world. Today, Mexico is a big export player in the global brew industry and is the best mass market beer producer in Latin America. So what does that mean? Industry figures place the Mexican beer market as a $20 billion industry, equal to 2% of the national economy. That's 8.6 billion liters of beer brewed annually. Craft brew is currently less than 1%. That is a market to tap. There are two major industrial brewers, known in Mexico as the duopoly. They are international corporations and control most of the market. They produce the labels now recognizable in every supermarket and convenience store in the U.S. and other countries. Mexicans are very proud of the beer produced in Mexico. Beer brewing is part of history and the economy of Mexico, literally going back to the 1500s. As international companies, these brands no longer represent a true Mexican product. That is where craft brewing has the advantage. For the craft brewer, the situation in Mexico is very much like that in the U.S. 25 years ago, where consolidation of regional breweries resulted in a few large corporations that dominated the entire U.S. market. Product selection was light fuzzy lagers or lighter fuzzy lagers from snow-fed mountain streams. In California and elsewhere, a few brewers with other ideas knew beer can be a different experience and thought if brewed and available, others would agree. And so started the rebirth of craft brewing in the U.S. The rate of adoption and growth of the craft brew product has so accelerated it has been referred to as an explosion. Mexico is at the front end of a similar experience. They call it their craft brew revolution. Right now, the craft brew industry is 1% of that $20 billion beer market, and that is a $200 million market. Thinking about what that could be, government figures say that 70% of the Mexican population is a beer consumption age. That is approximately 84 million eligible consumers who, on the average, consume 62 liters a year. Brewers have a rule of thumb for estimating cost and profit. I call it the bag of grain rule. The beer yield from one bag of grain pays for the next 3 bags, or $100 bag yields approximately a $300 profit. One bag brews about 80 liters, which is a little more than the average beer consumption. So if 84 million are consuming their 62 liters annually, that potential market could be up to 25 billion. Craft, micro, and nano breweries are defined by the unique styles of beer and the capacity at which they can produce. Right now, in all of Mexico, there are 52 registered craft breweries. Putting that in perspective compared to the U.S. market, there are 100 active breweries in the state of Wisconsin, 212 in Oregon, and 400 in California. Our idea for the PalaBanda Brewery is to be an influential part of that first wave of the market adoption curve as the regional brewery in southern Mexico, the premier supplier of craft brew for the local consumers and the tourism market. So why Huatulco? Well, first there's the obvious. Huatulco is a beautiful area in the state of Oaxaca along the southern coastal Pacific. Huatulco is also a planned resort area, an area that combines local economy with tourism markets that emphasize ecotourism and nature preservation. The avenues of access to Huatulco are actively in production. Importantly, there's not another brewery in the area, and that is both advantageous and a challenge as trailblazing can be risky. Looking at market potential in Huatulco and the state of Oaxaca in terms of the local population. The state of Oaxaca is a state with 3.6 million people, and there are two major urban areas. One is the inland city of Oaxaca City with 250,000 residents, and then the total coastal urban dwellers of 200,000 residents. Assuming the consumption average of 62 liters per person at the 70% population eligible age group and the bag of grain rule, the inland and coastal cities could possibly be a $9.3 million market. The coastal cities themselves, a $4.2 million market, and the entire state of Oaxaca is a $75 million market. Huatulco is the tourism hub of an area along the Pacific coast. As a city, the local population can pulse from 50,000 to 100,000 depending upon the time of year. Evaluating market potential, it is important to understand the base population and the influence of tourism on that number. For our planning, we felt that the base population was the most important factor. If the locals do not adopt the product, tourism alone is not sustaining. The PalaBanda Brewery go-to-market strategy is truly and instinctively a lean startup effort. From the brewer flying from Chicago with equipment and material and luggage to finding a successful niche opportunity to sell product at the local Huatulco organic market. The fundamental hypothesis when we first started was, again, that if the beer consumer knew a better choice is available, they would choose and pay a premium for higher beer quality. We found that to be true when we sold direct to the end user. The question was, can this be a self-sustaining enterprise? The brewer broke the conceptual economic threshold when sales of his beer provided cash flow for further brewing and living expenses. The third fact to be proven in this first phase of lean startup was that the brewing material is available in Mexico and not cost prohibitive. The groundswell of brewing activity has made the supply market grow as well. Materials are available and pricing is comparable to the U.S. for some goods. So what we learned in the first lean startup phase is this. The effective network model for the area and culture is direct network and partnerships. We learned that the price point for 1/2 liter of tapped served beer is $3, which is in line with other craft brewery pricing. We proved that getting material and brewing effectively in a hot climate are surmountable challenges. Those are the 3 objectives to meet for consideration of expanding the dream. The PalaBanda vision is to be the preeminent regional craft brewery in Huatulco and along the southern Mexican Pacific coast. Beer brewing is all about the brewer and recipes and the reputation. We have in Jaime Mendez an excellent brewer. Consumers have shown already they value flavorful, full-bodied beer choice and are willing to pay a premium for the experience. So lean startup phase 2 is getting back to brewing and building the business. The approach is direct. We're to acquire funds and resources to invest in the capital equipment needed to brew in large volume. We need to build on the base of direct sales developed at the organic market and partner with other businesses in mutually valuable and beneficial relationships. We need to supply a great beer experience for regional markets that include local residents, Mexican and foreign tourists, local businesses, and students. The activity to that end is straightforward. We need to begin a quality brew business that continues to gain traction organically and expand on that brand. Become involved in the regional community and local events. Incorporate environmental friendly processes in sync with the eco-sensitivities of the area. The differentiation is clear. There are no other craft breweries in the area, and we have the brewer who produces excellent beer. In the beer world, reputation is everything. Craft brewing is a niche market of differentiated from industrial brewing by quality, quantity, availability, and importantly, the intimacy of relationship with the customer. The business philosophy is simple. Embed in the details of the business the values of trust, credibility, and service. Share that with our customers by providing a great product and customer experience. The fact is, the craft brew industry in Mexico is truly jumping up and down on the very front end of the adoption curve. And if that adoption rate in the U.S. is a predictor, strategically timed entry into the Mexican craft brew market is a huge opportunity.